What's up, friends? Right now I'm at 25th and Elliott, Sexy Pizza, Jefferson Park Pub, Whirly Bird, waffles, and ice cream. Today's video is a virtual tour of Jefferson Park, Denver. Very, very good spot here in Denver, Colorado. I'm excited to show you around. Let's go. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run the hardest working real estate team anywhere in the game. We're called Welcome to Denver. Check out our website, welcometodenver.co, and hit us up while you're at it. This YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home here in beautiful, beautiful Denver, Colorado. And that's whether you're moving here from out of the state, out of the country, just across town, or you're buying a house here for the first time. First-time home buyers and relocations is what we do and what we do better than anybody else. So if either of those things appeal to you, do us both a favor, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up, and say what's up in the comments. I appreciate y'all watching this. And as always, if you're thinking about moving here to beautiful Denver, Colorado, do whatever you can to get a hold of us. Check out our website, welcometodenver.co. Check us out on Instagram, welcometodenver.co. Email us at info@welcometodenver.co, or call or text the number on the screen. Right now I'm basically coming up on the intersection of Bryant Street and Frontier Crescent Drive, Front View Crescent Drive. And basically because I think it's a pretty good example of housing that Jefferson Park has to offer. It's a lot of more modern style condos and townhomes, and it's really a cool spot. I'm excited to show you, even if this isn't where you end up living. It's small, but there are some very, very cool spots here that you might find yourself ending up in. All right, let's get into this, huh? Okay, let's get into it. Friends, right now I'm in Jefferson Park, the namesake of the neighborhood, Jefferson Park. It's a cute little park, maybe a couple square blocks, something like that, but great spot to come and just, hang out, play with the pups, play with the kids. There's a playground, there's basketball court, there is just a ton of open space. So mostly what I see is people hanging out with pups, playing fetch, doing that kind of thing. Anyways, it's just a very nice little green space in the center of an otherwise very urban part of Denver. As far as the boundaries of Jefferson Park go, to the north is basically the Highlands neighborhood, which is also 29th and Spear. To the east is basically the river, South Platte River, that just cuts it off pretty much right there. To the south is basically Mile High Stadium. I think it's also 18th right there. And to the west is basically the Sloan's Lake neighborhood, which is also Federal Boulevard. If you're living here in the Jefferson Park neighborhood, you are super, super close to downtown, basically across the river from downtown. So that commute is almost non-issue. I guess it depends on where you're going, but you're basically adjacent to that. And then as far as distance from the airport, you're something like half hour, maybe 40 minutes or so from that airport. Jefferson Park has a very small population, and one thing that I find interesting here is that you're going to find a lot of very modern builds, whether they're townhomes or condos like this, or it's mostly townhomes, to be honest. A lot of these sort of older, more historic homes have been scraped from here. While there are some, still are some very, very good, cool historic options, but for the most part, those have been scraped. I think at a rate like any other neighborhood here in Denver. There's a population of right around 3,500 people here in Jefferson Park. And overall, it gets an A on niche.com. But one thing to note is that the schools here, not very good. Schools get about a C+. And if you look at the individual schools, they don't get that great of marks either. Most of this area is going to be served by North High School, which gets a C+ on niche.com, not very good. The middle school is Skinner Middle School, that gets a B+, and then there's Brown International Academy, which gets a B-. And so really, middle school, they're doing okay. Everything else, not that great. But in fairness, I don't think that this area is really trying to accommodate people who are most concerned with schools. It seems to be a fairly active neighborhood. Again, it's very urban, it's very close to downtown. It's very much a sister neighborhood to the Highlands, which is a fairly metropolitan, kind of a social place. And I feel like Jefferson Park is very much akin to that. Home prices here, generally not that bad. There's a median list price of right around $600,000, which if you watch my other Denver neighborhoods, you know that that is not that bad. And to be this close to Highlands, which has a considerably higher price point, $600,000, not that bad for median list price. And whether you're looking at a single family home or a condo, it's a pretty huge range. On the low end, you're at $450,000, and on the high end, you're at $7 million. $7 million would definitely be the single family, but nonetheless, it does span that big of a range. And interestingly, the rental rate here is very high. 76% of people that live here in Jefferson Park are renters versus only 24% of people who own. So again, I think it's a little bit accommodating a more transient, people who are looking for more social lifestyle than a sort of sustained, rather than people who are trying to really put roots down and, buy a forever home. This is kind of more of a place that maybe you come when you're trying to find a place to set up shop, get established in the city, and then maybe you'll move on and buy that forever home down the road. But it is a really great place for, if that's what you're trying to do, it's a really great spot. I'm still right along the park right now. I just want to show you right back here, there's a little old historic brick bungalow, and then right here, new builds. That is very common. You're gonna find that a lot here. I think the population is getting denser and denser here, but I think that's by design. Right over here, new build in process. So I do think that it is very much, that is the direction of here. If you're looking for a townhome or a condo in a relatively quiet place while still being metropolitan, still being walkable, Jefferson Park is a good one. But all right, let me show you around a little bit more, huh? Let's go. All right, friends, right now I'm on West River Drive. I'm basically between the highway and the park. I just want to show you a little bit of an example of the few spots where there's these sort of cute, historic, full of character homes. There's not that many, but we're talking pros and cons of living here in Jefferson Park. First pro is that there's going to be a pretty vibrant, happening community here. A lot going on, not necessarily in the way of like nightlife and clubs and tons of bars or anything like that, but the community is doing stuff. They're out playing, there's tons of people walking dogs, and just really a lot of stuff going on, a lot of people doing stuff, and kind of nice to be surrounded by that. Second is that it is very convenient to restaurants and bars and shops and stuff like that. They're not exactly going to be in this area. They're not exactly in Jefferson Park, but you're so close to them. You're a bike ride, you're a short walk away, specifically to Highland, Sloan's Lake, and really it's easy to get downtown, it's easy to get to the river, you're close to Elitch's, you're close to the stadium, you're close to a lot of stuff. And maybe they don't have everything right here, but you are close to it, you are sort of adjacent to it. Next is that if you're a Broncos fan, there's probably nowhere better to live. You're about as close as you can be to the stadium without actually being in the parking lot here in Jefferson Park. And then the last pro is going to be that you're close to the highways. You're convenient. It's easy to hop on I-25. It's easy to get out of the cities because you're so close to those sort of main arteries. But that does bring me to my first con, which is that the traffic noise here, it's not insane, but it's not absent. You can definitely hear traffic, you can definitely hear cars, you can definitely hear the highway from a lot of this area. And that's a metropolitan thing. That's what it is to live in a metropolitan area, but it's worth knowing, it's worth noting. Which brings me to my second con, which is that parking here can be a bit of a bummer. You see, like, this street in particular is absolutely lined with cars, and that can be a little bit annoying. You can't exactly just park anywhere. You can't just go to the store and know that there's going to be a parking spot. You're going to have to look for it a lot of the time. It's not crazy. It's not as bad as Rhino or Lodo. You're not going to have to pay for everything, so that's cool. But it's not suburban, and it is something that you're going to have to spend some time. It's not insane, but it is something that you're going to have to think about. Where am I going to park when I get there? Should I just take an Uber there? That kind of thing. The next con is that, I don't know if it's a con, but something to know. If you don't like modern architecture, like if this is what you want to be surrounded by, is these sort of quaint old little brickies, then Jefferson Park is not for you, because you're going to see a ton of that. It's just kind of stacks on stacks on stacks. If you see the drone footage of Jefferson Park, you will see there is a ton of these sort of 3-4 story tall buildings that are similar. They're just sort of boxy, sort of modern. I'm into it, but if you're not, you're gonna hate it here because there's tons of it. Which brings me to my next con, which is there's a fair amount of construction going on here. You don't get a bunch of new builds like that without having a bunch of stuff being built, right? So you're gonna see, you know, dumpsters in the street at maybe a slightly higher rate than a lot of the areas. You're gonna see homes that are just shells that aren't fully done yet. There's gonna be, you know, air compressor guns going off and that kind of thing. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is something to note. It's like being in a new build community. If you're the first in, you're gonna be surrounded by construction for a long time, you know, potentially years to come. And I would say that that's probably the case here as well. Okay, and then the last con is that it's tiny. It's almost a weird neighborhood to do a virtual tour on because it is so small. It's really, there's not a lot of area here. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you have your heart set on Jefferson Park and you want to buy a home here, well, there's not going to be that many of it. So when you stack the fact that 74% of the population here is rentals, that means only 26% of the living spaces here are probably even available to be purchased. That is a pretty small amount of possibilities of places that you could buy. Okay, you can probably tell it's really loud. I-25, downtown, Empower Field, Mile High Stadium, whatever you want to call it. Cool spot. Okay, I'm gonna show you around a little bit more. All right, that's it for pros and cons. Go for a ride. Okay, friends, right behind me is Empower Field at Mile High Stadium, whatever you want to call it, the Denver Broncos Stadium. That technically isn't in Jefferson Park, but it is just across that street. Right now where I'm standing, this is Jefferson Park. And just showing you how close it is to the stadium, right over here. Not sure if you can see it, but it's Ilitch's. I'm not 100% sure how to say it. I say it different every time. It is basically the amusement park in Denver proper, which I still think is so cool. Just a cool spot to have an amusement park. But okay, if you watch my videos, you know that I have a section that I call my For Fans Of section, which is basically to say, if you are interested in this area, if you like what you see here, this one in particular, a very small neighborhood. So if you're dead set on Jefferson Park, it might be a while. There's not that many listings here. There's not that many homes for sale here. It's just a relatively small spot. So it'll be good to know a few other options that sort of do the trick for you. The first of which is Highland. Jefferson Park just kind of feels like a little mini version of Highland. It has a lot of the same sort of characteristics, some cool views, kind of up on a hill a little bit. You can kind of see downtown from certain spots. Very cool, and I'm a fan of that part of it. But then also just, there are some cool restaurants, some cool little shops. It's way fewer though. So if you want to be walking distance from like everything, for sure Highland is going to be more up your alley than Jefferson Park. But if you just want some of that stuff and you don't need it all over the place, and you're cool being maybe adjacent to Highland, then cool. Jefferson Park is a very, very good spot for you. Okay, and then the next spot that I think is maybe a good, if you're into this one, you might be into Sloan's Lake. I do have a video on Sloan's Lake. It's a much bigger neighborhood. It's not quite as metropolitan, but it's just basically just to the west of us here in Jefferson Park, and a lot of similarities. There's going to be a lot of this sort of new style of housing. There's a good amount of townhomes and that kind of thing, and a fairly metropolitan sort of vibrant vibe to it without being quite as in the middle of everything like if you were in Highlands, right? You also have the lake, definitely worth checking out the lake, Sloan's Lake, and just a lot of good park space. Okay, and then last but not least, I think this is maybe a little bit of a stretch, but maybe you like what you see here, you like the vibe here, but you're looking for somewhere with better schools, maybe somewhere where you could put roots down and just spend a longer amount of time there. Maybe you're looking for somewhere where you can buy a single family home, put roots down, but have like walkable parks, cool little shop, but still this sort of point vibe like you get here in Jefferson Park. I'm gonna say Wash Park, aka Washington Park. I do have a video of that. I also have a video of Highlands and Sloan's Lake. I think they are all pretty good examples, pretty good substitutes if maybe there's parts about Jefferson Park that you like, wish you could sort of switch it out for other things. All those places, Highlands, Sloan's Lake, and Wash Park, pretty good substitutes. Okay, as always, if you're thinking about moving here to beautiful, beautiful Denver, Colorado, maybe it's Jefferson Park, maybe it's Boulder, maybe it's Golden, whatever you want, it's up to you. We'll help you make it happen. But do whatever you can to get a hold of us. You can go to our website, welcometodenver.co. Check us out on Instagram, welcometodenver.co. Email us at info@welcometodenver.co, or call or text the number on the screen right here. We promise we'll take the absolute best care of you. To my new friends from San Francisco and Seattle who just hit us up, can't wait to hang out with you. Thanks for doing so. And as always, as you exit the video, do so safely. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up, say what's up in the comments. Here's some pretty cool spots. Yeah, I could live like that. Anybody else? Okay, talk to you soon. See you in the next one. Welcome to Denver.